So we can go ahead and start. We are on chapter 2 now, angles. All right, so really quick, I'm going to talk just a little bit about the angles and stuff. So chapter 1 was all about points, lines, and planes, right? Chapter 2 is going to just continue that. So we're going to take the lines and we're going to make shapes with those lines. That's all. We're going to do everything exactly the same that we did in chapter 1. So if you struggled in chapter 1, chapter 2 is exactly the same, except it is angles, not lines. Okay? So, when I told you to learn how to do those things, I wasn't lying to you. They don't go away. I'm sorry. It's not that it doesn't work that way in math. That is way dark. Okay. So here we go. A ray. Okay, we're not actually going to draw, or we're not actually going to write the definition on this one because you have them all, and I will give them to you again on the review. So I'm going to save you some time here. So a ray, remember it has an endpoint, and then it goes forever in one direction. It has a point, and then it goes forever in one direction. That is a ray. Now, how many rays do you think it takes to make an angle? Look at it. How many of those do you think I need to make an angle? So an angle is 2 rays. Common endpoint. Two rays and a common endpoint. So let's say I have my first ray. Okay. Then all I have to do is draw a second one from that same dot because it's the common endpoint. So 2 rays and a common endpoint. The rays are going to be the sides. Right? So my 2 rays are going to be the sides. And then the common endpoint, does anybody remember what that's called? Bless you, there's a word for it. It starts with a V. Vertex. It is the vertex. Good. So any dot on the corner of something is going to be the vertex. So and I wish I would have wrote it a little bit better. That's okay. So vertex is the common endpoint. Questions on that? Okay, so example 1. This is going to be just like the first homework problems. Okay, so when you get your homework, these are going to be the first 3 that you're going to answer. It's going to ask you, what is the name of this angle? So if you're looking at the name, I want letters. I want the letters on the angle. So it can be angle, right? That's the angle symbol. B, because I have to use the vertex, right? B is the vertex. Anybody think of any other way that they might want to try to label it? I know this is the first time you've seen it, but what do you think? Yeah, so I could use A, B, C, or angle CBA. Does anybody notice a pattern? What has to be a part of it? The symbol has to be a part of it. Yes, absolutely. But B has to be the center letter. So B has to be the middle letter. It's always the middle letter. Oop, that's supposed to be an R. Oh my gosh. Okay. Welcome to Tuesday. There we go. All right. So if B has to be the middle letter, then that makes it what? The vertex. So it is B, and it is just a point. So the vertex is always going to be just a point. Now, the sides. I told you the sides were what? What were they called? Rays. They're the rays, so I need you to label them as rays. So pick the top one first. From B to A. Remember, it has to be a ray, so I have to start at the vertex and go out. And then the other one? Yeah, somebody said it and I was talking over them. All right. questions on that? Because, yeah, we're going to keep going. All right. Example 2. It asks, how does it differ from example 1?
There's 3 rays instead of 2.
There are 3 rays. So how many angles am I going to have?
2.
Are there 2?
No, 1. No, 2.
All right, let's trace them. So I'm going to trace from Q to P to R. That's the first one.
So 2.
There's a third one.
Yep.
And then from R to P to S, that's the second one. Now where's the third one?
Q to P to S.
Yes, the big outside one. From Q to P to S, the outside angle. I know the highlighter makes it look kind of weird, but you've got your 2 insides, and then you've got the big one on the outside. Okay? So there are 3 angles here instead of 2. Or actually 1. Let me ask you, can I say, if they ask me to label the angles, can I put angle P on this? If I say angle P, do you know which angle I'm talking about?
No.
No. So can I use a single letter if there's multiple angles coming from one vertex?
No, maybe you can use P as the vertex. But that's
Yes, you can use P as the vertex, but you cannot use P to label because it's coming from 3 different angles. Does that make sense? So you have to use like you would have to say QPR, so I know that you're talking about the pink angle. All right, so there are 3 parts to an angle. Okay, we're going to draw. I have to draw an angle because you have to actually see it. So the first part of the angle is the actual angle itself. So here we go. There's my angle, and it is okay, like, so they will ask you, you know, what is on the angle. So this is the angle itself. So the first part is the actual angle, the angle itself. All right, what if I was to tell you interior is 1 part?
interior and exterior.
What
That
does,
would be the inside.
good, interior means inside. So if I'm looking at my picture of my angle, what would be the inside of that angle?
Like,
Yeah.
the inside.
Yeah, like between the 2 lines. So if those are my 2 lines, it's everything on the inside of those lines. That's the interior. And you can label it if you want. I'm kind of color coding, but this is the interior. And so Lane already said if there's an interior, there almost has to be an exterior. So that is the outside. So anything out of those 2 lines. So you can be on the angle, you can be inside the angle, and you can be outside the angle. Ready? Examples. So if I'm looking at example 2, this picture right here, it's asking me, name a point interior of QPS. So the first thing you have to do is you have to find the first angle that they want, QPS. So trace those points from Q to P to S. That's the orange angle. So this is my orange angle. Hold on, I have to look. O-R-A, oh my God. O-R-A-N-G-E. Maybe one day I'll learn how to spell. All right, so inside, now tell me, Chelsea, what were you saying? Yes. So they want a point on the inside of the orange. The only point is R. So R is on the inside.
And then S.
Good. So then I have QPR. So QPR, that's the pink one. And it wants an angle on the exterior of pink. So that would have to be S. Okay, these are the super simple ones. So if you need me to pause right now, you need to tell me.
No, yeah, they were those are the simple ones. I'm gonna tell you an example of work,
They're still not too hard just yet, but they do get a little bit harder, yes. Okay. We did what was called segment addition. Remember when I told you, like, when you had the left piece plus the right piece and it equaled the whole thing? Y'all remember doing that? So I told you we would have this line, and this side of the line was 20, and this side of the line was 30, and you did 20 plus 30 equals 50. That's what we're going to do with angles. Same thing we did with segments, but now with angles. It's called angle addition, so we're going to add them together. Let's say, okay, this angle, and I'm going to use arcs to mark angles. So this angle, let's say, what did I put? Like maybe 20, I think. I just made up numbers. Yeah. Okay, so this side was 20. And the other side is 30. Oh, no, 10. Sorry. I'm giving you answers. I'm so sorry. I guess my brain is not fully awake yet. So this side's 20, this side is 10. So what would the entire angle be if I asked you for P or QPS? How did you get 30? Yes, we're going to add. We're going to add one angle plus the other angle, and it's going to equal the outside angle. Angle addition. They're just going to make it harder by putting equations. That's all they're going to do. It's always going to be that way. Okay, so if I'm looking at example 4, let's keep it in mind. So trace your angles. This says the measure. So if you're looking at this, I'm going to write it one time for you. It says M angle PQS. That means the measure of angle PQS equals 77. That's how you read that. So to find it, you trace the letters from P to Q to S. That's the whole outside. The whole angle, the big one, is 77. Then I'm given PQR. So from P to Q to R, that's this inside one, the top one. It's 32. Then they want us to find RQS. That's my X down here. So officially, okay, what is the shortcut? Because you know how to do this already. What are you going to do? We're going to subtract. But officially, the actual math equation says that I have to add 32 plus X to equal 77. That's the math equation. And then if you were to do the algebra, you would say, oh, I have to subtract 32. So X is actually going to equal 77 minus 32, which is exactly what Summer told me. She told me we were subtracting, and that's what we're doing. She just already knew, since there were no variables or anything, that all she had to do was subtract. How did you do it?
I just put 45 plus 32.
You just guessed?
Yeah.
I would not have been able to guess that. I'm not a good guesser. All right, here we go. One more step further, right? So, like everything's equations now. Same thing, let's find our angles. AOC, trace it. AOC, that's the outside big angle. It is 70. And if your little degree symbols, so like you see how I put my degrees here? If that bugs you, or if it looks like 700, leave the degrees off. That's fine. Okay, then I have AOB. So AOB, that's the top. X plus 10. And then BOC. Trace your letters. From B, O, C, that's X. All right, the geometry says that we have to add. That's what we're doing. We're addition, angle addition. So what two angles am I adding together? The inside ones, right? The ones on the inside, those are the ones you add. So x plus 10 plus x, and then it's going to equal the big angle, the outside. Yes. Not totally, but you're close. You have one more step. Okay, that's my equation. That's all the geometry. Everything from here is last year. Okay, so combine like terms. X plus x, 2x plus 10 equals 70.
Minus 10 and 60 divided by 2 is 30.
Good. Minus 10 from both sides. And you get 2x equals 60. And divide by 2. Good. So I'm going to fill in my x at the very top. That's my 30. Now, a lot of you did this beautifully, and then you stopped after this, and you had no idea what to do from here. I found x. Now it's asking me what are the measures of the angles. So I have to go back and take this x and make these into numbers. Right? So it says BOC. So find that angle, BOC. That's this one here. It says it's x. We found x. What is x?
30.
So this angle equals 30.
AOB is 40.
How did you get that?
30 plus 10 is 40.
Good. I'm going to go to AOB now. AOB. And it's x plus 10. And I know that x is 30. So 30 plus 10 equals 40. Don't forget to go back and plug them in. Like I said, y'all would do beautiful math work and then not plug them in for me. All right, turn the page. I know it's long today. We're going to get through it, though. Lots of refreshers. So this is refresh. This should not be new. There's one part that might be a little new. Okay, there are differences. Okay, this is test question stuff. So if you like to star things, whatever, test questions. Okay, they're going to ask you to classify something. Okay, when they ask you to classify, they want a type, right? So think about your classification in high school. You're classified as a sophomore in high school. If I want to classify angles, I'm going to put a descriptor on them, right? It's either going to be acute, right, obtuse, or straight. Those are my classifications. If I want to name something, okay, they will ask you to name something. Think about how you write your name. You write your name using letters. So we're going to name our angles using letters. Something like angle ABC. That is the other type. So you can classify something or you can name something. That is a big thing on the test, and people get them wrong because they don't read and they don't know the difference between classifying and naming. I will not tell you on the test. All right, so if they ask me to classify and it's acute, this should be refreshers. An acute angle is a tiny angle, right? Little bitty, less than 90. So something like what? 40, 20, 21, whatever you want to put. Weird numbers. But what about something like, it says less than 90, so let's think. 89.9. Is that an acute angle? Are you sure? It's like 0.1.
Yeah, but
It's still less. So 89.9 is still classified as an acute angle. Good. What about right angles? Can they be anything other than 90 degrees? No, they have to equal 90. Okay, the only thing that I'm going to fuss at you about is on your pictures. What is the symbol for a 90-degree angle?
It's like
Yeah, it's that little box in the corner. So, like, let's say I have a triangle that looks like this. Can I just assume that that's 90 degrees? That is the one thing in geometry that I will tell you. If it does not have the box, you cannot assume. I will be that teacher that puts 89.5 degrees on there. Okay, so don't assume. If it doesn't have the box, it's not 90. All right, obtuse means we're bigger than 90. Something like 120 or 90.1. It's still bigger than 90. And then the weirdest one,
Just a line.
yeah. And in geometry, 180 will be like the magic number for everything. Okay, usually there's a dot on it to show that it's an angle, but any straight line, it doesn't have to have a dot. If it's a straight line, you automatically know that it's 180. Okay? We will use this all year, and I promise you there will be some units that I'll tell you. If you guess the answer 180, most likely you'll be correct because 180 is a lot of our answers. All right, here we go. Example 6. So here's the difference, right? Part A, they want us to name it. That's when we use letters. So something like, for the first one, if I wanted to name it, I would use angle F. Or I would do the 3 letters. Angle F, nope, YFI. F has to be the middle, remember? It has to be the center letter. Now, if I wanted to classify it, that's what, like, is it right, obtuse, straight, or acute? And it's 35, so I know it is acute. And then it actually wants the measure. I skipped around a little bit. So the measure is just the number that they put on it. Okay? So I'm going to give you like 1 minute to do the next 3. I want you to name, measure, and classify. We are. I did have some that did not take the short technical test, but that's not y'all's problem. I don't think. I'm going to ask them what they were to with those kiddos. If they were absent. Yeah, but yeah, I'm done. But it is plugged in. Don't go long.
They should finish
But-
with these soon.
I wanted to tell somebody though, look, these chargers are not plugged in. Like, it's not doing anything. Some of these work, but a lot of the chargers don't work. Yeah, because I tried to figure it out. There's so many wires, and I was like, oh, okay. Okay. All right, so let's see. Check your answers as I write them. LTC. This should be 125. And obtuse. This should be done already. You should not be copying me. This is angle T. RTS. 90. And right. And then lastly, angle X. Wow, that's terrible today. Angle in XS. All right, so let's see. 180 and straight. Did you get them? I hope so, because like I said, this is the easy stuff. All right. What time do we get out of here? 28. Everybody knows what time we get out of here, huh? All right. What did we say a bisector meant in math? Good. Bisector means I am cutting something in half. So I am, how did I write this? I think I just wrote, yep, cuts an angle. So it cuts an angle into 2 equal parts. So a bisector. The same way that we did segments, it cuts it in half. So if I'm looking at example 7, remember you have to read. That was like one of the biggest things on test 1 is no one wanted to read. It says this ray XZ is a bisector. So I'm going to highlight that line because I know that's the middle. This is my bisector. That's the middle. So if I said the top angle is 40, then what's the bottom angle? It is also 40. Does it matter what I put in those angles? Because what if I put something like, I don't know, 4xy plus 2? Then what's the other angle? I don't care what that means, but the other angle is still 4xy plus 2 because that line is the middle. Okay? I need you to understand that because we struggled. Okay, so all this means is the top angle, so let's name it. Angle WXZ is going to equal the bottom angle YXZ. Oh my gosh, if I could write pretty today for y'all. I'm sorry. I feel like a kindergartner today trying to write.
It's the pin. It's the pin.
It must be. It's something. Okay, now let's try the last two examples. Let's read the first sentence. It's not even part of the example, right? So here's the example down here. But here's some of my instructions. It says FG bisects that angle. So I'm going to highlight FG. That's the middle of something. It says it's the middle of EFH. So here's the other angle. Yellow is the middle of orange. So now let's fill in. Now we're actually at the part of the problem where I'm filling in equations. I'm sorry, things are just so... Thank you. Let me know. Probably the next short cycle. I gotta look that up. Yeah. Thank you, Miss Reese.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
It's slightly off.
It looks off, yeah. All right, here we go. EFG, and I will be, like, some of the pictures will look like that, y'all. So, like, remember I told y'all if they're marked the same, they are the same, even though they don't look it. Okay? So, EFG is 5x minus 10. And then GFH. Does everyone understand how I'm finding my angles? I'm just tracing through the letters. So GFH is the bottom angle. 3x plus 25. Okay. Someone please tell me they know how to do this. If the yellow line is the middle, what kind of equation? Am I adding? No.
They're separate. They're not.
They are separate.
So equal.
They are equal to each other because I have a bisector. 5x minus 10 equals 3x plus 25. Okay, that's the geometry. Now solve for x. Okay, no, and it all it wants is x. Find the value of x.
What did you do? Like minus 3x?
Yes, I want to get all the x's to the left and all the numbers to the right.
So you do minus 3x on both sides.
Good.
And then there'll be 2x plus 15 or minus 15.
No, not yet. Yeah, do.
I'm trying to get it.
I know he's trying to skip steps. And that's fine, but you would have moved everything to the left, and then you would have had a 0 on the right. Okay, so instead of moving 10, or instead of moving 25 this way, I'm gonna add 10 and move it away. I'm gonna get it away from those x's. 2x equals 35, and it is a decimal today. But yes, Lane, I know you know what you're doing. You're just trying to do it in your head. That's all. Okay. Let's do one more. And I would say let's skip it, but I don't think that you can. I'm going to redraw my picture just because I don't want to have to relabel up there. You do not have to draw a new picture if you don't want to. Okay, you can relabel. So this is E, F, H, and G. And I still have this being the middle. Okay. Last problem. So GFH, that's the bottom, 3x plus 20. Then EFH. Be careful on this one. EFH is the outside angle, 4x plus 80.
You would put 3x on the left this time though.
Good.
Because it's 4x is like the very bottom.
Yes. So even though they gave us equations, remember the last time this was like a 77 or something like that? So even though it's an equation, we're still good. Okay? If this was just 20, then what would you put on the top? 20, right? Because that's the middle. But I'm going to take the whole thing and I'm going to copy. Now, if I say the top, okay, because y'all were doing good, copying this down. I saw a few people on the test do stuff like this, but then we got stuck. Because now what do I do? Are they equal to each other? Because I have 3 pieces. Can you equal 3 pieces together? So something has to be added. What are you going to add? Can I add the outside? I'm going to add the insides together. Yes, so you can skip. Yes, I love this. Okay, so I'm going to leave a space and I'm going to skip. 3x plus 3x is 6x. Then 20 plus 20 is 40. And it's going to equal,
4x plus 80.
yes, the outside, the part that I didn't use. There's your equation.
Dang, that's so much easier because like I was trying to like do it ahead and it wasn't working.
So I skipped. Yes, hold on. I'm going to fill in the line that I skipped. So if you're really lost, we did 3x plus 20 plus 3x plus 20 equals 4x plus 80. And we combine like terms. No. Nope. Move everything, all the x's to the left, and you have to subtract. Yeah, so you're trying to add. I know. I appreciate y'all trying to do the stuff in your head. That's awesome. And you'll get it. Keep practicing. So 6x minus 4x is, and then bring down the 40 and bring down the 80. One more moving it away, right? I got to move 40 away.
This would be 2x plus 40 equals 40.
Mm-hmm.
Just divide by 2, 20.
Good. And that's all they wanted today. They didn't want us to plug anything back in. Okay, so hopefully, I know we're doing angles, but hopefully all the postulates and stuff, you're like, oh yeah, I kind of remember this, okay? Because it's not going to go away. We're going to do everything we did with segments with angles, and then everything we